when we talk about special types of concrete, as you listed, special types of concrete is for specific purposes. Okay, so whether you are going for any special application, whether it's a waterbound application or for snow areas, or if it is going to be in very dry conditions, so in that specific purpose and project based decisions, we are going for special types of concrete. And sometimes when you require a specific beam depth or girder depth, within that range it has to withstand an enormous amount of load, then you can actually go ahead with this kind of special concretes. Special concretes are nothing but the same thing. So in case of coarse aggregate, you are going to replace it with the fibers, maybe artificial fibers or natural fibers. Okay, so such replacement is necessarily important. Okay, so replacement or with the different admixtures and superpluses. So this is what is making you a special concrete, fine. And so this is all about. So the special types of concrete are those with out of the ordinary properties, or actually those produced by unusual techniques. Okay, and the mixed design will be project specific. Again, say for example, we are talking about M15, M20 and M25. These are all based upon the Indian standards, the codal provisions. So with the help of the codal provisions, we make it quite universal. That means you follow it in or practice it in Chennai. When you go for Mumbai or Pune, the same design criteria has to be followed. The design procedures are same. So whereas in case of these special type of concretes, it depends upon the project specific criteria. Okay, so these concretes do have advantages as well as disadvantages. So it's depends upon it. Okay, so these are the various types of special concretes, the list that you are seeing, right? So these are the various types of concrete that are available in the current world. Okay, so the special types of concrete are those with these different properties. Okay, so the concrete is by definition, obviously we all know that it is a composite material consisting essentially a binding medium. So what is the binding medium? Cement. And different aggregate particles, and it can take many forms. And as you see, this table lists many special types of concrete, and in many cases the terminology of the list you are seeing, right? The colored concrete, white concrete, or ferro cement, or fiber concrete. So such terminologies that we are using, it describes the uses, properties and the conditions of that particular concrete. Okay, and some of the more common special types of concrete is what we are going to discuss in this presentation. We are not going to discuss the entire list. Okay, so this list is for your understanding. Okay, so the main purpose that I have included all these types of concrete is because there is I usually tell that there is nothing impossible with the concrete. Okay, so obviously for human minds, the possibility is on quite higher side when compared with impossibilities, right? So the possibilities are very high, and this possibility, with the help of the concrete, the structural concepts or designs that you want to conceive, so that is definitely possible, because we have different types of concrete that is being used all over the world for different purposes, right? So that is to reinforce your thoughts that everything is possible with the concrete. So, and that's why I have listed all these types of concrete. Okay, so we are going to discuss only about some of the common types that are widely being used. Okay, fine. So the first one under that is structural lightweight aggregate concrete. Okay, so the structural lightweight, so the name itself is quite self-explanatory. So structural lightweight aggregate concrete, just like your normal weight concrete, okay, so except that it has lower density. So the density of the concrete will be low in structural lightweight aggregate concrete. So that is the keyword here. So it has the lower density. Okay, so it is made with lightweight aggregates or with a combination of lightweight and normal weight aggregates. Okay, so the purpose is to reduce the intensity. Okay, so why you are density? Why you are reducing the density? Because the primary purpose is to reduce the dead load of the concrete members. As you go in high-rise building, the dead load itself will take so much of loads and energy. Okay, so when you are going to reduce the dead load, then obviously it's going to be supportive for the structure when you go for high-rise building. So in that scenario, reducing the dead load or weight of the concrete members, especially for floors, then it will be highly advantageous. So in that condition we are using. Okay. So the structural lightweight concrete, how it is actually working on and how it is being produced. Okay. In general, mixing procedures for structural lightweight aggregate concrete are similar to those for normal weight concrete. So there is no confusion on that. Okay. However, some of the more observative aggregates may require pre-wetting. So pre-wetting, like so you have to soak in water for some period of time. Okay, so that depends upon different aggregates that we are going to use. Water added at the batching plant should be sufficient to produce specified slump at the job site. Okay, so we have discussed, while discussing the properties of concrete, we have got an indication that concrete, when you before casting, you have to test it with the known properties and easier properties that you can work on site. So in that way, the first one is slump. So we have cone, right? With that cone, you will be checking the slump. So that slump is common for every type of concrete that you are producing. So likewise, for lightweight aggregate concrete also, we have to go ahead with slump loss if the aggregates the slump will be lost if the aggregates are not saturated prior to pumping. Okay, so this type of concrete is okay. The structural lightweight aggregate concrete, right? So this type of concrete mixtures can be proportioned to have same workability, finishability and general appearance. So workability is the primary criteria for any type of concrete that you are taking. So a very good workability is mandatorily important for a structural engineer or architect who is taking care of the project management, has to ensure that the type of concrete that you are using for your project has to satisfy the minimum criteria or safety standards. Fine. So for that, the slump test will definitely help you. And due to the lower aggregate density, structural lightweight aggregate concrete does not slump as much as normal weight concrete with the same workability. Okay, so that is one of the thing. And normally in practice, a lightweight air entrained mixture with a slump of 50 mm to 25 mm can be placed under conditions. Okay, so normally in a conventional concrete where you are achieving a slump of 75 mm to 125 mm. Okay, so for that normal slump for a conventional concrete, when you are comparing that slump value with your lightweight aggregate concrete, it will be satisfied if it reaches 50 to 75 mm. So that will be good. Okay, so in normal weight concrete, if the slump is reaching 75 mm to 125 mm, then for lightweight aggregate concrete, it can go ahead with 50 mm to 75 mm. Fine. So these are the key points that you should know. So as I told you, the density of lightweight concrete depends upon the mixture proportion. So how well you are going to mix the proportions and what are the different aggregates you are going to use, whether it's shale, clay or slate. So these aggregates, when you are using as finer material, then they definitely going to help you in reducing the density of the concrete. And most importantly, the moisture content of the lightweight aggregate should be followed thoroughly. The structural concrete density can be easily achieved with the use of lightweight aggregate concrete. The lightweight aggregate concrete is also known to absorb very little water and can maintain the low density. It is known to be equal or lower than that of the normal concrete, and it also has a higher degree of saturation. And the main applications of the lightweight concrete is in precast elements. So we can go ahead with slabs, walls and beams, and moreover using the right mixture proportion, it can also ensure a greater fire endurance. Okay, so that is also one of the important points of lightweight concrete. And whatever we discussed about the lightweight concrete in the previous slides, the same thing I have pointed out in bullets. Okay, so these bulletins will give you the final overview of how exactly the lightweight concrete is working on, and what are the different materials that are being considered for manufacturing of this type of concrete. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the graphical representation. Okay, so this graphical representation actually gives that which is related to cementitious content, the amount of cement that is we are using, right? That cement based upon the cement at given slump and air content rather than to a water to cementitious materials ratio. This graph has been prepared. This is just for your understanding and explanation I have added. This is due to the difficulty in determining how much of total mixed water is absorbed into the aggregate. Okay, and the compressive strength also you can see, as the cement content is varying, your density is also being varied. Okay, so with this respect and relationship, it is fairly constant for a particular source of lightweight aggregate. Okay, so and this relationship mainly helps us in making different trial mixtures that can reach a very good compressive strength. And insulating and moderate strength lightweight concrete. And in the previous one of the slide I have pointed out that lightweight concrete do have very good fire endurance when you have a very good mixture. And this particular graph is what is stating the same thing. So because of their high air content, lightweight concrete weighs less than 800 kg per meter cube, which generally have very excellent workability. The slumps of value up to 250 mm usually are satisfactory for producing such kind of lightweight concrete, which can have more insulation and firefighting capacity. Okay, and the cellular concretes are handled as liquids. They are poured or pumped into place without further consolidation. Okay, cellular concrete is in the sense when you have the concrete just like not a very solid form. It may be in just like your molten lava. In that form, when you pour the concrete, you can directly pour or pump into the place without any further consolidation. And all concrete should be mechanical, mixed to produce a uniform distribution of materials of proper consistency and required density. This is very important for all the types of concrete that you are working on. See, only when you are aware of what are the basic properties and how well a concrete is reacting for a slump. Okay, so whether it's a true slump or shear slump, okay, so that knowledge is very necessary to identify a good quality concrete, because when you are executing a project, you are not going to depend on concrete RMC plant alone. You are going to make it on site. The concrete will be produced on site, and while producing, you are going to procure the materials from different sites or different shops or contractors who is supplying the material. So all this is going to affect the quality of your concrete. Eventually, what it is going to result in, the project you are going to execute is going to be it should be a masterpiece. Instead, when you are not concentrating on the procurement of materials, it is going to affect the concrete mixture that you are going to do. And the workmanship is also very important when you are taking care of the concrete. So when it is from RMC, the workmanship is not much required because it is automated. On-site concrete production requires very good workmanship. So when you have such workmanship only and procurement of materials is going to give a very good concrete. And this concrete, when you are going or put up in the casting, it is going to reflect your quality to the clients or the referrals. So that is why the knowledge of concrete is very important for people who are involving in building construction field. So that's whether you are an architect or interior designer, structural designer or a site engineer, no matter what. So when you are involved in a building contracting work or execution work, concrete knowledge is very essential so that you can produce a quality structure. Okay, and this is all about the insulation capacity using different lightweight aggregate materials. For example, here it has been used for vermiculite or pumice. So pumice is also one of the very lightweight material, and shells and slags. The strength requirements depend on the intended use of the concrete, obviously. So depends upon the application, depends upon the purpose that you are going to use your concrete, the strength requirement varies. For example, a compressive strength of 0.7 megapascal or even less may be satisfactory for insulation of underground steam lines. Okay. Similarly, compressive strength of 0.7 megapascal to 1.5 megapascal are usually adequate for roof fills, but strengths up to 3.5 megapascal, that is beyond 1.5 and up to 3.5 megapascal, are sometimes specified for more insulated. See, this is a very primarily important property, because in a shopping mall, okay, shopping mall is a mixed area where you are going to, shopping mall is a mixed commercial space where you are going to provide, especially for office spaces or IT parks, and in one part of your shopping mall you are going to provide cinema theaters. There, cinema theaters, the insulation is very important. So insulation, obviously we are going ahead with interior designing where we are going to fix different materials, okay. But when you have knowledge of concrete, the concrete itself can be made in such a way that it properly insulates. So why it is important is, when the concrete is being mixed and the type of concrete that you are going to use during the construction itself, based upon the understanding of the application, okay, so then it is going to reduce the cost of interior that you are going to take care. So this knowledge will definitely help you in understanding how exactly you can insulate the structures for different purposes. Okay, and so compressive strength is another major characteristics of concrete. So, okay, so the concrete is, we all know that is quite stronger in compression. So why we are reinforcing it with reinforcement? Because it is weaker. The concrete as a separate material is weaker in tension. So that means when you pull off the concrete, it is going to break very easily. Whereas when you are going to press a lot, that means towards the concrete, then it is going to have a higher resistance against the load. And that is the reason why we are using reinforced cement concrete. So this is all about the lightweight aggregate concrete and the applications. So the applications, we are going to use it for heat insulation properties, insulate water pipes, and different panel walls or auditoriums. So everywhere you can, so for different architectural purposes also you can use it for this lightweight aggregate concrete. And the lightweight aggregate concrete is available in India, and the market seems to be growing at a very rapid pace. The demand for lightweight aggregate concrete has been growing immensely due to its various properties and advantages. So there is a very good market for lightweight aggregate concrete as well. The next one is air entrained lightweight concrete or entrained air in the lightweight concrete. So this is commonly, so you are going to differentiate by the usage of words, okay. So typically we call it as air entrained concrete in general, or air entrained lightweight concrete. So air entrained concrete is made by mixing a small quantity of air entrained agent or using air entrained cement. So you are going to artificially add or reinforce the concrete or cementitious material with air entrained agents. These air entraining agents produce non-coalescing air bubbles. So non-coalescing air bubbles means it's not going to get friction with one another by breaking it. Okay, so that is not going to happen. That's what non-coalescing air bubbles. These air bubbles act as flexible ball bearings, just like your mechanical equipment. Okay, so just like your wheels, how it exactly trims, because there you will have different ball bearings, right? So these ball bearings, just like that mechanical ball bearings, the air bubble that you are entraining in the concrete is also going to act as a flexible ball bearings and modify the properties of plastic concrete. So what are the properties that we are talking about in general? Workability, segregation and bleeding. So these are the three major components. So you should always remember that for any type of concrete that you are going to work on. So the three major properties or primary properties that we always focus on is workability, segregation and bleeding. And when you are confident about these three properties, obviously the finishing quality of the concrete will be in higher degree. The main thing which is affected by air-entrained concrete is workability, and the compressive strength of the concrete is a reflectance of effect of workability. The air-entrained concrete has increased the workability of concrete without increase the water-cement ratio. If the workability of the concrete is increasing, the compressive strength automatically decreases, because workability and the compressive strength are always inversely proportional to each other. Okay, do you understand? See, if the workability of concrete is increasing, then the compressive strength automatically decreases, because workability and compressive strength are always inversely proportional to. Okay, so silica fume concrete is what we have discussed, and silica or silicon is nothing but just like your fine aggregates, right? So in the fine aggregates, you are using sand. Sand does also have a silica content. Okay, so whereas when you are adding silica as a special case, okay, so in that scenario, what is going to happen is you are going to use very fine, just like your talcum powder, it will be very fine in nature. The same silica we are using for another type of concrete called reactive powder concrete, and that particular reactive powder concrete is very highly effective against a stronger impact loads, because you are using very fine material that is going to infill your concrete. Okay, so that is different. The reactive powder concrete is a different type of concrete material. Whereas silica fume concrete, this is very particularly we are using the fumes which are the fumes. Okay, so we are using the fumes. Okay. So the fresh and hardened properties of silica fume concrete is actually superior to conventional concrete. For instance, it has higher compressive and flexural strength. So you take a concrete, same mix ratio you follow for silica fume based concrete also. Then compared with that conventional concrete, the silica fume concrete is going to give you a stronger compression and flexural strength. Okay, and the durability of this type of concrete is superior to conventional concrete. Okay, so the durability is also very important. Why durability is important? Because the concrete is going to placed in external atmospheric conditions as well. So one day it will be rainy, on another day it will be very sunny, so it will be freezing or thawing, and that's why you can see resistance against freezing and thawing, and sometimes chemical attacks. So this is very important in testing a concrete. So in the earlier slide, you have seen various types of concrete, right? Special concretes. So all those concrete will undergo this freeze the testing, chemical attack testing and all. Only after that it will be released for production in the market. Okay. So in the case of silica fume concrete, it has very good freezing and thawing as well as chemical attack, that is performing better than the concrete without silica fume. And comparatively, the segregation behavior and the bleeding is also low in silica fume concrete. Okay, so this is about silica fume. And how exactly the silica fume? See, I told you that silica is a very finest material, because as you all know, the sand also does have silica, but in addition to that we are using the silica fumes. So why? Because it is a very finest material, just like the talcum powder. We all know we are using fine aggregate or sand. Okay, so mainly for the purpose of filling. So it acts as a filler material, and that filler materials also, if you observe the sand very closely in a microscope, you can see sand also behave like in the microscopic world. The sand also behave like a very finer particles of coarse aggregate. So that also I have to fill it. So do you understand that gaps between the fine aggregate elements also should be filled properly? That's why I am adding silica fumes. Okay, so when silica fume is added to concrete, initially it remains inert. So what is inert? That means no effect on it. Once Portland cement and water in the mix start reacting with each other, so what happens? Hydration forms. So when the hydration forms, primary chemical reactions produce two chemical compounds. So the calcium silica hydrate and calcium hydroxide. And by this way, when these chemical compounds are produced, okay, it also produces a byproduct which is a free lime. Okay, and this is how your silica fume is going to get reacted. Okay, with these gels, CSH gels and CH gels, it is going to get reacted. And the additional CSH we are adding into the concrete, or that is going to get induced because of the addition of silica fume by means of hydration, then obviously it is going to increase your compression strength, flexural strength and bond strength. So bond strength is nothing but binding between your fine aggregate, coarse aggregate and cement, as well as your the water particles. So all this has to be mixed together and well bonded. So that is what bonding strength. So bonding strength is a very primary element strength, whereas compression, flexure or tension is at larger levels. Self-compacting concrete. So self-compaction. So we all know compaction. So for compaction, what we do? We use we will go with the help of the steel rods. Okay, so when you go for columns, you can easily observe, and especially in deep beams with higher depth, you will be consolidate or compact it. Okay, so by means of labor, we will be using a steel rod for blowing, or with the help of the vibrator, we are compacting. We have a special type of concrete. For example, when you observe the reinforcement in a nuclear reactor wall, you can see the gaps between the reinforcement will be very small, and moreover, that gaps you cannot put the vibrator in one location, which will transfer the vibrating load to the entire concrete. So that is not at all possible where the reinforcement is very toughly or closely fabricated. So in that scenario, we require self-compacting concrete. So the self-compacting concrete, also known as self-consolidating concrete, is actually one of the most widely used concrete types, mainly because of its self-compacting characteristics and strength. And this self-compacting concrete is highly flowable. That means when you pour the concrete in one area, automatically it's going to cover the entire slab or entire beam or different shear walls. Also we are using. The main purpose is, without the segregation it is going to happen. When you are using a normal concrete, you cannot pour just like that. So what happens is it will deconsolidate. So what happens with the consolidation? It is going to result in formation of honeycomb structures, right? So whereas self-compacting concrete, it is highly flowable, non-segregating, and can settle into formworks and encapsulates, which is heavily reinforced, very narrow sections or very deeper sections by means of its own weight. It going to settle uniformly. Unlike conventional concrete, self-compacting concrete does not require compaction using any external force, because the purpose of the self-compacting concrete itself, it has to compact on its own to different locations or heavily reinforced fabricated areas. Okay, so that is all about the self-compacting concrete. See, the most importantly, you can easily identify by the name of the concrete, self-compacting concrete. So by the word itself, you can easily understand what is the purpose of that concrete. So what is compaction? You are going to compact it by means of external force or through mechanical equipments like vibrators. Here, self-compacting means the concrete itself will be made in such a way that it compacts on its own and it have a very good flowable property. So what is a good flowable property is when you pour the concrete in one end or one edge of your slab or beam, it will automatically get filled everywhere where you are covered it with the formwork. Fine, that is what self-compacting concrete. And here you have types of self-compacting concrete. So powder type of self-compacting concrete and viscosity agent type self-compacting concrete and combination. Okay, and the advantages of self-compacting concretes in its fresh and hardened state includes economic efficiency. That is, it shortens the construction time as well. It reduces labor and equipment required. Obviously, because it compacts on its own and it has very good flowable property. So with that, it reduces the construction time. So at one end you have a pipe or one or two laborers, they pour in one edge, then automatically it's going to get filled wherever you are, that particular structural element or structural slab or member is going to get covered with the former. So with that area automatically it gets flow and compacted on its own. So by that way it shortens the construction time, as well as it reduces the labor and the equipment required. Moreover, there will be a very significant improvement in working and living environment. How? It may consume a high amount of industrial byproducts. This, it reduces construction noise and health hazards. Okay, so that is yet another factor. So at least to a level of 15 to 20% it reduces that noise in the construction site. So this is how placing of self-compacting concrete. So that means you can see from the picture in the right side itself how exactly or how well it looks good, right? So at one end you are pouring your concrete, you can see from the pipe it flows just like a high density water. Okay, but it will be, so how we are achieving it? Because through different admixtures or chemical compounds. See, this self-compacting concrete produces resistance to segregation by using mineral fillers. That is important. So along with your fine aggregate, we are filling minerals. Okay, so with the help of mineral fillers or fines that we are using as a special admixtures. So this self-consolidating concrete or self-compacting concrete is required to flow and fill special forms under its own weight. So it shall be flowable enough to pass through highly or densely reinforced areas and must be able to avoid aggregate segregation. So that is, see, whatever point I am telling you, I always stress upon aggregate segregation. Okay, so self-compacting concrete, the main compound or primary reason we are using is because of its flowability and avoidance of aggregate segregation. So that is very important. And obviously we have colored concrete. So colored concrete, it is possible with white cement where you are using different pigments is possible. So instead of manually using the pigments when you mix the white cement and you add upon the colored pigments, so instead of that, while manufacturing itself, the cement will be added with the different pigments, so it will be mixed. And that is also, it is important that you have to use specific type of aggregates or production supplements along with the cement production, such that it will be absorb the pigment in a right way. So that is important, because suppose if you are going to use the colored concrete in your floor, as you wash or mop the area, it should not go away, the color should not go away as long as it exposed to the water. So in such way that we have to use right materials or any type of ceramic materials, so where the pigments will be added during the process of manufacturing of the cement itself. Okay, so suppose in the white cement also, sometimes if you have, we have noticed on site, in white cement people will use additional pigments such to bring the color that they want. That is good, and it is going to definitely help. But where it is going to affect you is when you are using in that way and it is environmental, that is atmospheric exposure it have, then obviously over a period of time it is going to reveal its true color. That is, it will have faded away or it will be washed away. Because in white cement the ratio that we are using is completely different. Okay, if you are going to use that type of method, white cement mixed with the pigments, okay, then if it is of internal areas where there is no or negligible amount of wetness is there, then you can go ahead with it. But when you wanted to put up a very large area with a colored concrete, obviously you have to get the specified concrete, okay, because there we will be using the concrete while the mass production we use required amount of natural materials which absorbs the pigments and holds it. Okay, so only then it will be very clean and bright. So these are the a sample sheet of colors. Okay, you can see on the right side. So this is not a different type of rocks, just a concrete with a different pigments that have been used during the production itself. So nowadays most of the concrete companies have started giving this. Even if you go for Ultratech or JK Simmons, obviously there also they are when you order to a specific purpose and you wanted to bring a very specific exposure, then you can go ahead. See, why I am telling you is when you are going for an architectural applications for a larger site, I am talking about larger site, because they are not going to make a special colors for one bag or two bag. Obviously that's not cost effective. So when you are going to order 40 bags or 50 bags of cement with these colors, okay, so obviously that when you have that kind of concrete, it is going to help you in bringing a very good architectural design. So the main purpose is when you see murals in some of the bigger buildings, see, you will make the concrete and then you will take enormous amount of workmanship to fix it either with cement or with different adhesives on the wall. So instead of that, when you have right concrete technician and knowledge, then obviously along with the concrete during the casting itself you can use this type of colored concrete in such a way that it will give a very good architectural aspects. So why I have included that is because, as I said, everything is possible with your concrete. And most common, very commonly used one type of concrete is fiber reinforced concrete. Whenever you talk to a civil engineer or a concrete technician, people when they talk about different type of concrete, obviously the first one that comes to their mind is fiber reinforced concrete. This is obviously a composite material again. So fiber, you have natural as well as artificial. Okay, so both fibers we have. Okay, so it depends upon the specific application. We will be using different fibers, and it is a composite material consisting of fibrous material which increases structural integrity. It includes mixture of cement, concrete and or mortar and discontinuous, discrete, uniformly dispersed suitable fibers. So if you want suitable fibers, like we have an aspect ratio. The aspect ratio is 0.5, 1.5, so it depends upon the, again I am telling you these types of concrete. Okay, whether it's even in the fiber reinforced concrete, the fibers that you are going to use, whether you are going to use steel fiber, glass fiber or any natural fibers, it depends upon the project or specific applications. Okay, so this is also I am keep on stressing. Okay, because the types of concrete, see, even general concrete, you are going to construct a a commercial building with a 4-story, and you are going to construct your own home residence, then you will be obviously using concrete. So that is commonly used conventional concrete. Whenever you are going for a special type of concrete, obviously it depends upon a particular application or site specific, and that is very important, and that's why I keep on stressing upon this one. So the purpose of the concrete or the application that you are intended to use. Fibers are usually used in concrete to control cracking due to plastic shrinkage. Okay, so and due to drying shrinkage. Okay, so the most importantly, in the previous lecture session also I have shown you some of the walls which have very greater cracks even before handover of the projects. So that's because of plastic shrinkage and drying shrinkage. So as you all know, over the period of time, the water elements or wetness within the concrete is going to get dry. That is going to result in cracking due to plastic shrinkage and due to the drying shrinkage. And fibers are essentially used to prevent it. And they also reduce the permeability of concrete, thus reducing the bleeding. As the permeability reduces, permeability means the property of concrete to allow the water. Okay. So when the permeability reduces, automatically the bleeding of water will also reduce. So this is all about fiber reinforced concrete. And most importantly, fibers are usually used in concrete to control plastic shrinkage and drying shrinkage. So this is very important when you write about fiber reinforced concrete. Okay, so controlling of plastic shrinkage and drying shrinkage. So that is for fiber reinforced concrete, just like the keyword of self-compacting concrete. Okay, so where we talk about non-segregation and flowability in self-compacting concrete. Likewise, in fiber reinforced concrete, control of cracks. Control of what cracks? Cracks that are formed due to the plastic shrinkage and drying shrinkage. Okay, and they are also lower the permeability. So when the permeability reduces, automatically bleeding will also get reduces. And if you observe, the fibers generally do not increase the flexural strength of the concrete. So when we observe most of the results that have been tested with different fibers, if you observe, it generally does not increase flexural strength of the concrete. So it cannot replace the moment resisting or structural steel reinforcement. Okay, so you may have a question. Fibers have a very good tensile strength. Okay, and why I should invest in the reinforcement, that is steel bars? Why don't I go for directly with the steel fibers? Okay, so that question, for that sometimes you may have that question. So for that question the answer is this. Okay, so it does not, in general it does not increase the flexural strength. So it cannot replace the moment resisting or structural steel reinforcement. Okay, and applications are pavements or tunnel linings, slabs, shotcretes, and different discs we are using. And most commonly used different types. I told you about glass fiber and steel fiber. Okay. So apart from that, we have different these types of concrete. A certain amount of steel fiber in concrete can actually cause qualitative changes. So what are the qualitative changes? It increases resistance to cracking, impact fatigue and bending, and increases the durability. So for improving long-term behavior, enhancing stress and toughness and strength resistance, the steel fiber reinforced concrete is being used in structures. For example, for flooring, larger industrial flooring, where you require long-term investment. Okay. So precast bridges, tunneling, heavy-duty pavement, and mining also. Even for mining, where you are making the roads under the mine, then for that also we are using steel fiber reinforced concrete. PFR, polypropylene fiber reinforced concrete. This is also known as polypropylene or PP. So it is actually a synthetic fiber, so transformed from propylene and used in various applications. So these fibers are usually used in concrete to control cracking due to, again, a plastic shrinkage or drying shrinkage. And then you have a glass fiber reinforced concrete. So glass fiber, so again the name itself implies extremely fine fibers of glass particles. So glass fibers has roughly comparable mechanical properties to other fibers such as polymers and carbon fibers. Although not as rigid as carbon fiber, it is much cheaper and significantly less brittle when compared with various other types of fiber reinforced concrete. Okay. And therefore it is used as a reinforcing agent for many polymer products. Okay. And it is also very stronger composite material. Okay. And then you have specifically manufactured glass reinforced plastic sphere, that is called fiberglasses. So fiberglasses are also mainly used or produced by adding smaller amount of glass fibers. Okay. And then you have polyester fibers. Polyester, okay, we all know, right? Polyester as a textile material. So the same kind of polyester is used in concrete also. Polyester fibers are used in fiber reinforced concrete for industrial and warehouse floors or pavements. And then you have carbon fibers. Carbon fibers are about 5 to 2 micrometers in diameter, very small, just like your hair. Okay. And it is composed mostly of carbon atoms. Carbon fibers have several advantages, including very high stiffness, high tensile strength, low weight, high chemical resistance, high temperature tolerance, and low thermal expansion. Carbon fibers are usually combined with other materials to form a composite. We have natural fibers. Natural fibers is directly obtainable from an animal, vegetable, or mineral sources, which are further convertible into fabrics. And finally you have cellulose fibers. Cellulose fibers are made up of ester of cellulose, just like from how you are extracting rubber from the trees. In similar way, from bark, wood, or leaves of plants, the cellulose are separated and utilized in concrete. So that is for cellulose concrete, and it is used for very specific or lightweight concrete with good strength we are using. For commercial purpose, we are not using cellulose fibers. So this is the example of the fiber reinforced concrete. On the left side you can see a concrete cube. When applied tensile strength, it's separated. So when you separate it, you can see a small a finer strands are there. So those strands are nothing but the fiber reinforced concrete. So then we have pervious concrete. So pervious, the name pervious is porous. So porous, these types of concrete is mainly used to filter storm water naturally, especially in parking areas. Even in most apartments nowadays, in you take major cities or major promoters, they are using this type of pervious concrete, because in parking they don't want it to be let the water flow. Okay, so they will take it as rainwater harvesting, or for storm water it naturally goes off. Okay, in that scenario we are using pervious. So as I said, pervious, the name itself is self-explanatory, porous or no fines. This concrete works as storm water retention basin and helps maintain groundwater levels in the area. See, we have a larger complaints against usage of concrete in concrete pavements or the road, because it is not going to let the ground absorb the water. So what happens is you are going to have a reduced groundwater levels. So this pervious concrete helps us in retain the groundwater level. And another benefit of pervious concrete is reducing the impact of construction on nearby trees, since it allows the transfer of both water and air into the root system. Okay. So such kind of pavements we are using pervious concrete, and pervious concrete cannot be used in structural areas. Structural, suppose you wanted to use it in beams or columns, that is not yield a satisfactory results. Pervious concrete is an excellent option for certain applications, but the physical properties of its surface limits its usage in many cases. It has a rough honeycombed surface and there is a certain degree of raveling. So raveling means ununiformed or roughened surfaces or textures. Okay, and that is why we are not using it in structural elements or the pavements where high traffic is moving. Okay, so in parking area we can use it where the car is not going to go beyond 10 km or 20 km per hour speed. Okay, so in that location we use pervious concrete. So this is the pictorial representation of the pervious concrete. And then we have a special application of waterproofing concrete. Okay, so it have a special admixture. See, the admixtures or the chemical compounds that we are using is going to elevate or enhance the purpose of the concrete. So it reduces the water cement ratio and increases the density of the mix. As the density increases, it minimizes the sizes of the pore and thus it gives the waterproofing of concrete. Waterproof of concrete application. No need for external membranes, reducing cost and labor. So 100% recyclable and no minimum order size. So it will be useful in basements, underground car parking, swimming pools, aquarium or any waterside building. And you can see these are the wave cutters that are made up of waterproof concrete. You can see wherever the seawater erodes the land area, especially in coastal regions where people are living very closer to the coastal. For instance, when you go for North Chennai, from the harbour area till the end of the North Chennai, say for example till there is a location called Thiruvattrur or Ennur. So till that location we are using in Chennai. Okay. In some locations, like for example Kovalam in Chennai. Okay, Kovalam in Chennai, not Kerala, because I have not visited there. Okay, and so if you observe in Kovalam in Chennai, you can see where the density of people or residences is higher. This kind of concrete cutters will be useful. And you have roller compacted concrete. So roller compacted concrete, again here also the name itself is self-explanatory. It's very stiff and no slump, nearly dry concrete. Okay, so directly you are going to make it for see, this is not the final layer of your road or pavement. So this is the very base where you are preparing or leveling to make a very strong road. So in that scenario you will be using roller compacted concrete. Okay, so it is a mixture of well graded aggregates and cementitious materials and water. So that's all. Okay, and mixing is done with conventional batch mixers or different types of mixers is also being used, like continuous mixers. Okay. So mostly we are using it for dam structures and road construction, that is pavement or airport runway, because airport runway is also designed in the form of pavements. Okay, so dam, roadways or pavements we are using roller compacted concrete. And then shotcrete. So shotcrete is actually mortar. Okay, so mortar, what is mortar? Fine aggregate with cement. So it's a small aggregate concrete pneumatically projected onto a surface at very high velocity. It will be gunned. Okay. So by what happens is the relatively dry mixture is consolidated by impact force and can be placed on a vertical or horizontal surfaces without any sagging. So it is actually a dry or wet process. So depends upon a specific project criteria it can be used. So mainly where you can see this kind of shotcreting is you are making a tunnel. Say for example metro rail which is going underground. So with the help of tunnel boring, you can see the tunnel boring. So once the boring machine digs and comes out, the layer you can see it will be full of sand. Okay, so directly the sand will not be covered with the concrete tunneling. Before that we will use shotcrete so that it will arrest any loose soil particles. So that is the major application where we are using shotcrete. Then I told you about photocatalytic concrete in one of the session. Okay, so this is actually recently introduced formulation of cement which are able to neutralize pollution. Okay, so majorly this has been commercially been started using in Netherlands. So in Netherlands they have invented and they have started using the photocatalytic concrete. So this is due to the process of photocatalysis, and that is why the name from photocatalysis we are using the concrete itself. And the major application is the smog can be turned into harmless compounds and washed away. Any concrete product is a potential applicant because these cements are used in same manner as regular Portland cements. The technology can be applied to white cement or grey cement and even in the colors cement. It depends upon the application. The main thing is it performs like any other Portland cement. It can be used in all varieties of concrete including plasters. Okay, so that is one of the innovative and advanced invention. Okay, so because it is going to be applicable or utilized in any type of concrete. Okay. So the only difference is that it is capable of breaking down smog or other pollution that has attached to the concrete substrate. As sunlight hits the surface, most organic and some inorganic pollutants are neutralized. So any pollutant compounds that is going to be, suppose if you are putting in a pavement, okay, so when the smog or pollutants are stagnated in the road surface or in the building, so as it is exposed to the sunlight, it is going to react. So what reaction? Photocatalysis. So that way it is going to get the pollutants will be neutralized. So they would otherwise eventually discolor the concrete surface. So if you see over a period of time, the concrete textures that are exposed to the external atmospheric conditions will be discolored. So that is because of the pollutants that are lies on the surface. So this type of concrete will be very great enhancement and added advantage for in the concrete industry, because these products provide value through unique architectural and environmental performance capabilities. And here the main ingredient that we are using is titanium based catalyst, which is not consumed as it breaks from the pollution. So it will be mixed directly with the concrete and through which it will be taken.